Hi, good morning, and welcome to 174. And I am live in Southwest Florida at the beach finally. It was hit or miss getting down here this morning. The parking area was totally full. I barely got the last space. And yeah, so we're here. It's super windy, so I'm not down there. I'm up, hugging the edge, which means there's snakes in there, so yuck. So if you hear me scream, you're gonna know why. But thanks for joining me live. Good morning. If you're here live, say good morning so I can say hello to you. Hi, Christine and Lisa, Cynthia, Jane, Nikki. Good morning. Hi, Jill and Cherie, Grace. Hi, Grace. Hi, Brenda, Simone, Olivia, Janet, Joe, Judy, Barbara, Annette, Carrie. Thanks for joining live, everybody. Yeah, it's super duper windy here this morning. Hi, Diana and Linda, Melissa, Shelly, Pam, Lily. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining live. Hi, Stacy. Good morning. You may notice I'm dressed for the gym. I had a super busy day today. Back-to-back appointments all day long, from the podcast to the gym, trying to squeeze in the gym before taking a friend to the airport, and full busy day of work as well. So there was no time to do the podcast at the beach, go home and change, get back to the gym, and then go to the airport. So doing everything in my gym clothes today. Thank you all for joining live. Welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 474. Gosh, that means we're 26 away from 500. Is that right? Am I doing my math right this morning? I think so. That's amazing. I can't believe we're almost there. It really is amazing, because our 2-year anniversary isn't even until December. So what did I say, 26, so we do 5 a week, so we've got 5 weeks to go. I was a couple minutes late this morning because parking was so bad at the beach, but we are butted up against the grassy area where snakes are. Yuck. But if I went down by the water's edge, it is way windier down there, so I think you will hear me better up here, and you can still hear the waves anyway, so little bit of a win-win. I brought something to work on this morning. Like I mentioned last night in the podcast, I started my step outs for the Layla Crochet Motif runner. So I got my first Motif A complete. And in order to do them as step outs before making the video, step outs meaning that kind of like when you watch a cooking video or a cooking TV show, you know how they magically have one come out of the oven? Well, somebody had to make that dish first, right? Well, the same applies to making crochet tutorial or knitting tutorial videos. We have to have things magically made behind the scenes, because if I showed you every step of making something, the videos would be hours long, and it wouldn't be nearly as, it's not that it wouldn't be nearly as interesting, but it would be a lot more time consuming for you as the viewer. And I think you can get the gist of something a lot better in a condensed environment, especially when you don't have as much time on your hands. So in order to get the videos nice and condensed, I have to do a lot of work behind the scenes, which involves making step outs. So I have my first one done, and if I can walk and chew gum or talk and crochet this morning, I will work on more of them. In order to do the video, I plan on having 4 of these at different points of completion. This is the large Motif A's, and then the Motif B, which is the interior smaller motif. I will do that one completely on camera because it is only one round. In order to see that magic of the fabric coming together, the most important element of this video is going to be watching that Motif B from beginning to end, and I think you're gonna love it. Also, it's joined on all sides. It's joined in the interior of a fabric, so there's lots of things to see on that one. So super excited to share that with all of you. I am drinking Earl Grey tea with unsweetened coconut milk in my Sunset travel mug from my Redbubble shop, if anybody is interested. Does anybody have any questions so far about and how much they enjoyed the podcast last night? If you did not make it to the podcast last night, no worries. It was live, but it is now a recorded video on my YouTube channel as well. Just a quick recap of what happened yesterday. I lost my size D 3.25 millimeter crochet hook as I was getting ready to start the step outs for this tutorial. And as I went searching for it, I came across 10 unfinished objects, and they're so pretty, and I'd forgotten about almost every single one of them. So as I was pulling them together, I was like, this might be a fun thing to share on the podcast, and for a couple of reasons. First, I like showing other people that might feel badly about themselves for having lots of unfinished objects that you're not the only one. So I like admitting out loud that I have something that sometimes people get shamed for. I think it makes people feel better about their situations. I find absolutely nothing wrong with having unfinished objects, and it kind of follows along my designer theory of back-burnering projects. I don't think that that's necessarily just for designing. I think it's for whatever level of creativity you are in a project, whatever level of motivation you are in a project. It's perfectly fine and natural to lose motivation on a project and back burner it. Work on something that maybe excites you more, or has a different deadline because you have a gift coming up, or something that you need to wear to a special occasion, or something that just excites you more. Life's too short to not work on what excites you, right? This is supposed to be fun. This is your hobby. It's supposed to be fun. So I find there is absolutely nothing wrong with having unfinished objects. It falls along my theory of back burnering something to work on something else until you get excited about it again, or until you get motivated about it again, or until your frustration simmers down because you're learning something new and that fear creeps in. There's nothing wrong with putting something to the side and coming back to it at a later date. And hence, that's where the idea of unfinished objects come from. So last night, not only did we talk about that, I showed mine, but I got to show you all of these beautiful sweaters and shawls that are at different levels of completion. I explained why some of them are not done. I explained where they came from, talked about when and where I thought they might be able to be published. They all will be published. They're just at different levels of completion right now, including one that has to be unraveled and started over. But that's okay, because hey, that happens to everybody too. Yes, so I'm glad so many people enjoyed watching that video last night. And if you did not get a chance to watch it, it is episode 473, and it was super fun. I had a lot of fun sharing all of them. I tried them on. We talked about a bunch of them. I talked about which ones I'm going to wear as soon as the weather turns here, because they're completely done. Yeah, so it's episode 473. Thank you, Lisa. I'm glad you loved them too. Let me watch it tomorrow. Wonderful. Cherie said, Cherie's testimonial is, it is worth going back to watch. So there, not just me saying it, Cherie is as well. So thank you for that testimonial. I appreciate it. Thank you, Pamela. I'm glad you said they were beautiful too. Is that Curious George behind me? Uh-oh. Hi, buddy. Maybe. Maybe not. He's being quite aloof. It could be. That could be Curious George. For anybody that's new to the podcast, back in the early days, I know, maybe he's got a girlfriend or a boyfriend over there. Who knows? Back in the early days of the podcast, we had a seagull that used to hang around all the time in the morning with me at the beach, and probably in the first 100 episodes or so, and he used to look at the camera, circle my blanket, and just hang out all the time. So we lovingly and affectionately named him Curious George. And somebody even sent me a custom-made coffee mug that had a picture of him and his name on there, and I still use it to this day. That was Curious George. And I used the mug over the weekend, and I thought of him, I'm like, hey, where's Curious George been? And lo and behold, first day I get to the beach after thinking of him, he's here, so yay. right, I am going to attempt working on one of these motifs while we chat. Oh, don't tell me my crochet hook isn't in here. I know I put it in. How did that oh no, it's already out. Who does that too? You know you put it in your bag, but as you're pulling stuff out, you pulled it out. You didn't even realize you pulled it out. One thing I do all the time is if I take a ponytail and turn it into a bun with a crochet hook, who does that? And then all of a sudden, never find my crochet hook again until the end of the night when I'm brushing my hair out to go to bed. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, you do that with your keys? Yeah, I do it with my sunglasses too. I'll walk around going, where are my sunglasses? Or I'll walk around like this and go, oh my God, I'm going to be late. Where are my keys? With them in my hand. Cynthia's recliner eats her hooks at least once a day. Yes, my sofa does that as well. Well, thank you, Daniela. A kiss from Italy. That is very sweet of you. Thank you for joining live. Where in Italy do you live? I would love to visit Italy one day. Okay, so we'll get started here, and I will look up as much as I can. Oh, not being able to find your keys is the scariest one of all, Pamela. I agree. One morning, I was here at the beach very recently, and I feel like it might have been the last time I was at the beach here. What happened was I had gotten a phone call as I was headed down to the beach from the car. So you know how you have a routine of where you put things, right? When I leave the car, I lock it, I put my keys in my bag, or clip the carabiner to my pants, and I have a routine for how I get down to the beach. Well, I picked up the phone, and I was talking to somebody during that time, so I wasn't paying attention to my routine. Finish the podcast, I leave my spot on the beach, I start heading up the walkway, so I'm halfway in the sand, and I can't find my keys. And I'm like, oh my God, where are my keys? So I go back to the spot, I think, and I can't find it in my bag, can't find it in my belt. I go back to the spot where I had been doing the podcast, and I'm not sure I even recognized where I was sitting. Can't really tell where the sand's been marked by me. Don't see my keys. And I'm starting to freak out now, I'm thinking, and you start wondering, okay, what is the plan B if you lose your keys? And I'm totally freaking out. And turns out, after a few minutes of sweating bullets and freaking out, that they were stuffed in it because I wasn't paying attention while I was on the phone. So, really scary stuff. Thank God it turned out to be nothing, but I'm sure you can all agree how scary that can be, even in the moment when you're just like, what's going to happen? What's the fallout of this is real? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Dang! Without counting, I did the right number. That's amazing. That never happens. Yes, your stomach's on the floor until you find them, no question. Someone asked about what yarn I'm using for this. I'm using this beautiful color called Aloha Blue in Be So Fine yarn. And a size D3 crochet hook, which is 3.25 millimeter. Hi, Edna. Hi, Sinka Holly. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I might have to look down and concentrate too much on this one. We'll see how far I get while trying to talk to everybody. So, it might not be the best one to do while I'm talking. Yes, this yarn is in my shop. It sure is. Yep, it's called Aloha Blue in Be So Fine yarn. Edna. I'm making step outs for a new video for a new pattern that is in my shop called the Layla Crochet Motif Runner. And in that pattern you learn how to make this gorgeous fabric with motifs that and learn a dozen or so different projects that you can apply it to. So you could make it into a top or a shawl or a throw or a scarf, but the actual pattern that I made was for a runner for my dresser. The runner's like a doily. I think sometimes they're called doilies when they're circular, and sometimes they're called runners when they're more square or rectangular. You could apply to either. You could also make tablecloths or placemats or scarves or rectangular shawls or different size of rows, and all of those dimensions are given in the pattern. So the pattern comes with more than just the instructions on how to make the motifs. It comes with all sorts of other pattern ideas. And the pattern includes not only the written instructions, but several different charts to show you how to make the different motifs and how to join them together. And so these are the step outs for making a tutorial video to go along with it. And that will be released on my YouTube channel in the next couple of days. The pattern is available now on my website. It's called Layla. And it is absolutely gorgeous. I don't have it with me this morning, but it is these larger motifs with a smaller motif in between them. And it is really magical the way the fabric comes together when you add a mini motif in between the large. At the top of the list in the single pattern section of the shop. Brenda hasn't made a motif project yet. Well, when you find one that speaks to your heart, maybe you will feel motivated to do one. Nothing wrong with not having done one so far, but if it appeals to you and a project comes along that speaks to you, you'll probably feel motivated to try one. Because they're not hard. I can attest to that, and plenty of people here can attest to that as well. Annette wants to know if there's a video on the Brooklyn shawl. I really can't show it to you at the moment, but it's possible that there is one. You'd have to search for it here on my YouTube channel. There is a playlist for the Motif Magic projects. That is a pattern that was in my book Motif Magic, and if you don't find it in there, let me know and I can try to make one. But I would be surprised if I haven't made one yet. Okay, when I finish this round, it might be easier to look up. I feel like making these long stitches is where I really have to concentrate. This is my last one, so I'm going to count now to make sure that I have the right number. One of the mistakes that I often make when I'm making a motif project is forgetting to count my repeats in the early rounds, because something can look close enough to what it's supposed to look like in this stage. If you're not counting, okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. And if you don't count it, you can be off by one. And if I had 17 repeats instead of 16 or 15 repeats instead of 16, what will happen is when I go to join these to other motifs, they won't line up perfectly, and I'll have either one too few area to join or one too many. And so it really is important on your first round to count your stitches, because this is where you could easily make that mistake. Going forward, whatever, it's that foundation, it's the foundation of the shape of the pattern. At this point, you need to make sure that you have your right repeats. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have the right count, yay! But I make that mistake often, and if I make that mistake often, I'm sure you do too. So it's something always worth saying out loud, is to take the time to count your repeats at the end of that first big round. just to make sure that your count is correct. Because if it's not, you won't really know for sure until you get to the joining round, and at that point it's too late and you'll have to unravel the whole thing. Judy is reminding everybody to give a thumbs up, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. YouTube really loves to hear your feedback, so if you enjoy the content of my podcast and you enjoy joining me live every day, please feel welcome to give a thumbs up or leave me a comment, because I know YouTube really likes to see that sort of interaction, and they're more inclined to share the content and help grow a channel if they think the content is not only enjoyed by the existing audience, but the type of content that more of their viewers. And if you ever have requests for other videos or questions, always, or you have questions for me, always feel welcome to leave those in the comments as well. Carrie says counting is really important for Narina. Yeah, that's another motif project where you join at the final round. Very important to make sure that you keep those. I think that's an 8 join, so it's an octagon motif. So is this one. And yes, it is very important, because if it ends up being 9/7 instead of 8, you won't be joining them properly, especially on those where you're joining on all sides. That actually project has a mini motif in between the larger motifs. So all the more reason you need that exact count of empty corners in the center so that your mini motif lines up and it's joined on all sides. So another example where you really have to have the correct count. There's some projects where you can flub it, right? And I will always tell you when I think that you can, I don't know if flubbing it's the right word, but I will always tell you when I think that you can make little fixes along the way so you don't have to unravel. I love telling people how to do that, because I don't think it's always important to unravel all of your work. But when it is important, I will always tell you right from the beginning, because I would like to give you tips and tricks for not having to unravel. So this is one of those projects where it's really important to pay attention to your count. And if you do pay attention to your count on this project or on Narina, like it was brought up, it will eliminate that risk of having to unravel your work. So great tips for having a successful experience with a pattern. And isn't that what it's all about? Sharing tips and tricks to make things, once you have experience with something, and if you have the ability to share tips and tricks with somebody else so that they have a more pleasant experience at something, and that applies to life in general. Too bad our kids didn't follow along with that, right? I wish I could just share my life experience with Marlon and it just made his life smoother. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work. But as a crochet instructor, it does work. Well, hello, Milky Way from South Korea. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining live. I don't know if you've noticed, but these are really quick motifs as well. These large motif A's are only 3 rounds, and the small motifs are only 1 round. So for a motif project, these really do go rather quickly with the right stitch count. As much as I can here. Oh, I think people are talking about my stitch tutorial PDFs. I am so thrilled that people are enjoying them. I have spent so much time working on them. I started working on them over a year ago, and really just, they got backburnered a couple of times because I really wanted to make sure that I added enough content that it could really change, not only change your whole thought process of that stitch, but just give you as many options as possible for manipulating it into as many different types of projects. And really just breaking it down piece by piece. And so it's taken me a long time to figure out how best to do that so that it made sense and so that it was a really powerful teaching tool and empowering tool. I wanted to go beyond a stitch dictionary, and I don't know if that's what people think or not, but that's what I was hoping for. And regardless, I know everyone's been very, very excited about them, has really enjoyed them a lot. So I'm super excited to start see the beginning projects coming out from it. And honestly, I could have gone even deeper into different types of shapes, but I figured we had to start somewhere, and down the road, once we go through a bunch of stitch patterns this way, there may end up being more tutorials on more advanced shaping to do garments and other shape shawls, and that's something that we might do as separate PDFs. But at the time, I thought this was a very great place to start with 7 different shapes. And it really does open up so many things. Like in any PDF, you can now make a top-down shawl in any stitch that I bring out. You can make a blanket or a throw or a motif project to join as you go in any stitch pattern now as I release them. Pamela loves stuff without charts. In fact, when I was getting ready this morning, I was thinking back on the beginning of my book career, and I have to tell you, when I wrote my first book, which was Wrapped in Crochet, at that point, crochet books did not come with charts. That was 2008, and at that time, and I'm not sure whose book came out first or what, but I know Robin Chichula and I both released crochet pattern books with charts. This one technically came out first or not, but it was definitely part of that new era where we both were insistent on adding charts to our projects, and Interweave was fully supportive of that. And that year was the first year that our pattern books started coming out with charts, and I know all of mine going forward have come out with charts. And I really do think that that was the beginning of a new era of crochet books, because now I think most books come out with charts. But it is exciting to know that I was part of that change, and I don't know, it was a nice memory to come up as I was putting on my mascara this morning. I do get lots of questions from people who want to learn charts better. So I'm just going to throw this out there right now. Do you think that it would be worthwhile for me to do a whole video series on not crocheting at all, just taking charts and walking you through how to read them? Do you think that I haven't taught that enough where that would be worth doing a series, like talking about how to read charts in rows and how to read them in rounds? And maybe even touching base on how to convert them for right hand to left hand. Once you read charts, it is absolutely easier to follow charts than patterns, no question. It is just about learning it. Okay, yes, I'm seeing across the board, yes, and that would be great. Okay, so it turns out that it really hasn't been, see, because I seem to be doing it like on the side. Like I know in a lot of my patterns I'll go over the chart at the beginning and talk about it, but if everybody would like a proper chart reading class, then I could do a whole video series on that. I could. And okay, so what else do you want in there? Shoot, just throw it at me. So we're going to go over the symbols. We're going to go over how to work back and forth in rows. We're going to go over how to work in the round. What else needs to be in there? And I better look up. What else would you like to see in there? Or is that basically it? And would you like to see multiple samples? I think that's where sometimes I think something clicks, because I can show you how to read one circular motif, but as soon as you move on to another motif, it's not exactly the same, and I think that I'll need to show multiple examples of them. So even top-down triangle, do that so that it has increasing and working back and forth in rows. Okay, so we'll work even in rows, work in the round with increases. Shoot, we may as well work even in rounds. So maybe we'll kind of follow along on a couple of we'll do the shapes of the stitch pattern tutorials, maybe even do that. But I think we're going to need to do multiple samples of the charts so that you can see the pattern, right? Not intended, but you can start to see the rules of reading charts. Because if you just see one sample, I think it's hard to open your mind to it being similar but different, right? With different stitch patterns. So, okay. Not sure how I'll break it down. I might break it down in multiple videos, like maybe do one where we just go over the symbols, next one doing simple charts, and then make them we could do tapestry crochet too. Okay, wow, lots of interest in this. Okay, and guess what? You know what's really awesome as the video maker over here? Sometimes it's the hardest, right? When I have to, it's like I could write patterns all day long for you, but without a photo of a finished garment, it doesn't really sink into the head. And for video without step outs, there's not much I can show you. But in a video series like this, shoot, I can just go turn on my camera and start once I have printed out the charts. So as long as I use existing charts that I've already made, this could be something that we could actually produce rather quickly and rather soon. And with so much interest in it really motivates me if so many of you really need help, because you know how much I enjoy helping. All right, we've gone a little over, but let's take a minute here and pick a number between 1 and 5 and randomly pick a quote from one of the Create, Share, Inspire notebooks. Would anybody like to pick a number? Cherie, 5. Alrighty, so here's number 5. Yep, crochet alongs are always a good idea, Pamela, and I just need to get caught up on some things, and I definitely like to do a crochet along soon. If anybody would like to request a pattern for a crochet along, that would be fun too. In fact, when the podcast is no longer live and is recorded today, if everybody would like to leave some requests for the next crochet along and or knit along, what I can do is compile all of those into a poll. Oh, Lucy has book number 6 now. Wonderful. And we can pick the next crochet along. I would love to see that. Oh, this is a good one. Benjamin Disraeli. The secret of success in life is for a man to be ready for his opportunity when it comes. This is so important. You know, some people say, oh, that person is lucky. Sometimes people are lucky, but more times than not, I think it's about being prepared and ready when the opportunity comes. If you're not ready when an opportunity comes, it can pass you by and you may not even know it came, right? Or you can be stumbling and go, there's nothing I can do about it. But as long as you're always prepared and always have your ducks in a row, you have opportunities. When an opportunity comes by, you can seize it. And I love this. I love being prepared in my mind for opportunities to come along. And sometimes that's all it is. It's just being open-minded and ready for good things to happen. And that comes from positive thinking, for sure. It comes from writing in your journal and seeing those ideas solidified on paper. There's so much positive energy that gets reinforced from the brain to your real life, to your physical life when you write things down. I can't say that enough. So I do feel very strongly about this quote because it is about being open-minded and ready for your opportunities when they come along. They shouldn't be surprising. You should have great ideas in your brain all the time so that you're attracting them anyway, right? So thank you, Benjamin Disraeli. The secret of success in life is for a man to be ready for his opportunity when it comes. Yes, expect that it's on its way and be ready for it, be ready to receive. I love that. It's so exciting. I don't know. It makes me feel more hopeful and actually makes it feel more real. It's Friday. Thank you, Carrie, I forgot. I've got so much on my plate today that I actually forgot that it's Friday. And I work 7 days a week, so I kind of forget what day of the week it is anyway. But thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the sunrise, the beautiful waves, and beautiful scenery. I hope you enjoyed my tips and tricks on motif making while I was doing the step outs for a brand new video that I have coming soon for you. Thank you for all of your feedback on making some chart videos. I'm so excited to get started on that. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Leave your comments for me when this goes recorded so I know what crochet along and knit along you'd like next. I'll see you on Monday. Bye.